Brother gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Name.
Nicole Howell, Ste Howell, sorry.
Ms. Howell, this is the time for your initial appearance on some misdemeanor charges. I will tell you the information that I have, ma'am, in reviewing pretrial services information is that you do have a probation hold and a felony hold. So regardless of what I do on this case tonight, you're not going to be released from jail. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You're here on the misdemeanor charge for interfering with a judicial proceeding. You also have an open DV case pending at Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I am going to appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you in this case. I am going to release you on the city matter and set a court date on October 8th at the afternoon. What's going to happen, Ms. Howell, is I don't know if you'll be out of custody by October 8th or not, but I'm appointing you Ms. Altschuler so that she will be able to contact you at the jail and kind of monitor what's going on with the other matters that you have going on and then figure out how to handle that hearing. In the meantime, your additional conditions, if you were to be released on this case, you can't possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, don't commit any acts of domestic violence, you can't have any firearms while this case is going on, and you're not to have any contact with the victim in this case. It's Basil Knight. Do not go to his residence or workplace. Don't go to the incident location, but that should be his residence or workplace. And that applies, ma'am, while you're in custody as well. You're not to have any contact with him via video or tablets or anything like that. Do you understand those conditions, Ms. Howell?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, if you are released on your felony matters, you're responsible to appear on your own on that October 8th hearing date. If you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for tonight.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm kind of confused on what these misdemeanor I don't know what these charges are.
The charge that I have on the new case is interfering with a judicial
Oh, yes,
proceeding, so failure to comply with a court order. And it looks like the old case that you had pending from, it looks like 2023 in Tucson City Court involved assault, disorderly conduct, and also failure to comply with a court order. They are domestic violence related offenses. All right, that's all for
Yes.
today.
Okay, thank you. So wait, I'm sorry. One more question. I'm just trying to get a full understanding. I was released on this charge.
On the misdemeanor charge, you are being released on your promise to appear, but you're not actually going to be released from jail because you have other holds pending.
Okay.
I'm not talking with you about anything else you have going on. We're just dealing with
Right.
a city court case. And because you are in custody on other matters, that's why I appointed Janet Altschuler to represent you. And she should be in
Okay.
contact with you probably while you're still in custody and before your next court date.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone at the jail that can hear me?
Yes, we can.
On the next one, Louis Mena, I see that he's being housed, but does he have something else going on that I'm not aware of? Like other felonies? Okay, so he doesn't have any other holds at this time.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors. Taking my property and they broke into my house.
Just a minute.
I hid everything. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I need
Yes,
to
ma'am.
tell me your full name.
Luis Mena, MENA.
Middle name Gustavo.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you are here tonight on misdemeanor charges involving disorderly conduct and failing to comply with a court order. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you on those charges.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I am inclined to release you on your promise to appear. I'm going to give you a future court date, but
Yes.
you are not going to be allowed to return to the residence where your spouse Sonia is. Do you have some other place you can stay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I am going to release you tonight, sir, on your promise to appear at a future court date. That court date is going to be October 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon in front of Judge Millian at Tucson City Court. When you get released later tonight, there will be the paperwork that will have that date and time and also the address for Tucson City Court. Your additional conditions of release are committing no acts of domestic violence. You're not to have any contact of any kind with the victims in this case. That is Sonia Mena, your spouse, Basila Mena, your child, and also Jacob Tejas, who is your roommate. You cannot return to their residence and don't go back to the incident location. You must establish an alternate address. That's why I wanted to ask if you had a place to stay. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you understand all those conditions of your release, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you fail to appear on October 8th at 1:30
Oh, I won't.
in the afternoon, I'm sure you won't, but what I have to tell you is that if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest, so you understand the consequences. Got it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you. Yes, ma'am.
that's all for tonight, sir. You're excused.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name.
Todadina Nunez. Todadina Celestine Nunez.
Ms. Nunez, you are being seen this evening for an initial appearance on charges involving disorderly conduct, and threats and intimidation. These are domestic violence offenses. Your sister is listed as the victim in this case. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It looks like Ms. Nunez, regardless of what we do here, you do have another felony case, and it does look like there's another bond on that one that you're being held on. Is that currently the situation?
I don't know.
So jail, are you showing, I noticed that you guys have a bond. Is it because she's being held or?
It looks like it was also dismissed today, Your Honor.
Okay,
The only thing holding her is the city charges.
okay, all right. So ma'am, what that means for you is I am going to release you on these charges tonight. You are not going to be allowed to have any contact with your sister while this case is going on or until something else happens. You cannot return to her residence or workplace. Do you understand? Go
I
ahead.
I understand, but I was paying the rent and my name is on the lease and all my things are in my room. So can I at least go back and get my stuff?
Absolutely. So let me talk with you first about the next court date, and then we'll go over some other conditions. Do you have another place that you can stay in the meantime until this gets sorted out?
I do. I have an older sister who
Okay.
lives, okay. I don't know if you needed that.
That works. So again, I'm releasing you on the misdemeanor charges tonight. Your next court date is September 18th at 2:00 in the afternoon. That is going to be in front of Judge Mayhew at Tucson City Court. When you get released later tonight, the jail should give you a copy of your paperwork that has your conditions of release. It'll have that date and time on it, as well as the address for Tucson City Court. You do need to appear. If you fail to appear at that date and time, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Your additional conditions of release: commit no acts of domestic violence. As I indicated, you're not to have any contact with your sister. Don't go back to that residence. You are going to be able to return one time with law enforcement to retrieve your personal belongings. The order that you get when you get released has that box checked on it. So if you take it to a nearby police station or call the police, someone does have to accompany you to that location. Do you understand?
Okay.
Do you understand how that's going to work?
I understand.
Okay, all right. And it does look like you had another case pending at Tucson City Court. So everything that you had open there is going to be consolidated, and you're going to be seen on September 18th at 2 for all your city court matters. All right.
I understand.
Okay, that's all for tonight, Ms. Nunez.
Thank you.
Take this one.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Victor Alfonso Robles.
Mr. Robles, you are here tonight on a warrant that was issued out of Nogales Justice Court. Looks like you failed to appear there for a hearing on a disorderly conduct charge. There is a $500 bond that is associated with that warrant.
I have court today. Sorry, am I supposed to, can I talk?
Let me just, I'm
Okay.
reviewing the warrant, so hang on just a second. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I have an address for you. It looks like on Calle Gonzo down in Rio Rico. Is that still a good address for you, sir?
No, I'm living here in Tucson.
Okay. So I want to make sure that paperwork gets to you in the right place. Do you want to provide me with a good address that we can update?
Well, as far as the mailing address, I'll stick to that one.
Okay.
That's my parents' house. Yeah. Yeah, I had a court today and I was released by Judge Goodwin. That I can take care of it and quash it as soon as possible if you give me the opportunity. It's simply I have to make a payment, and it was due on the 26th of July, but I was here. I was incarcerated since August the 2nd.
Okay. So if I
And-
promise, if I release you, will you promise to show up at a court date? It looks like I have a court date for you in Nogales. I don't know if it's the right one, but if I release you tonight, not on the bond, I'll just release you on your promise to appear. You do need to get a hold of Nogales Justice Court tomorrow so that you can get this taken care of. Will you do that?
Yes, ma'am. First thing
right.
morning.
Okay.
My word.
I will show that you are released on the Nogales Justice Court matter on your promise to appear. I have in my system, sir, a court date of September 19th at 9 a.m. When you get released later today, they should have paperwork that'll have that date on it. But again, you need to call tomorrow to make sure that either that is the court date or that you get a court date set up. If you don't do that, they're just going to issue another warrant for your arrest. And if you have something something else going on, Mr. Robles, you don't want to get caught up in that. All right.
All right. Thanks.
You understand the consequences if you fail to appear and take care of your Nogales matter? Okay.
Yes, I do.
All right, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
I need to. Oh, you're right. It is. You are right. Thank you. That's why I deleted the attorney. No, you're good. Thanks for catching that.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
I'm Stephen Scott Burke.
Mr. Burke, you are here this evening on a couple of different charges for failing to register and associated charges failing to obtain an ID. This is the time for your initial appearance. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing this evening. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. Sir, it does look like you have a probation hold and also other felony matters going on. So I'm not talking with you about those this evening, but regardless of what conditions we set here, you do have those other matters that you're dealing with that are likely going to hold you in custody. So after I noticed that the state also has a recommendation, they're asking for $10,000 in lieu of requesting a no bond hearing. Because you are out on pending charges, the state could ask to have you held without bond. They're not doing that. They're asking for a $10,000 bond instead. Ms. Nagley, do you wish to be heard further?
What do you mean?
Judge, nothing additional from the written recommendation.
Okay. Ms. Baumgartner?
Your Honor, so regarding the no bond, I actually don't think that applies because technically this is dated as the same date of the offense he's pending, 8/6/24 and 8/6/24. So I actually don't think the no bond would apply. Given that, we'd be asking for a more appropriate bond, given this is a non-violent offense and he is already detained without bond on other felonies. So we're asking for a $2,000 bond.
So I am going to impose a $5,500 cash or secured bond at this time. If you're able to post that bond, sir, then you would be released to pretrial services. If you get released on this case to pretrial services, you're ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You can't possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, and you can't have any firearms. You will need to report to the Sheriff's Department Identification Unit within 2 working days following release from custody as well. Do you understand all of those conditions, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'm only asking, you said at the beginning there that I was already out on something, that I was released, or what was that?
So it shows, the pretrial services shows that you have a probation violation on a couple
Right.
of Superior Court cases. And then it looks like there's also an active Superior Court case, CR 2024. And I'm missing a number, 306. That's all I have on here. So I'm missing a number on it. So
Did they release me to pretrial services or something? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm just letting you know you have these other matters pending, sir. So that's really
Yeah.
what we're talking about. So the only thing I'm seeing you on tonight is the charges that I told you about first. I'm just letting you know that in addition to what we're talking about tonight, you do have those other matters that are holding you in custody.
Yeah.
Okay, and I tell you that because I don't want you to think I set the bond, you try to post the bond and think you're gonna get out when you have other matters pending. That's the only reason I notify you, okay? All right, so your next court date, sir, is going to be September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is going to be a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're responsible for appearing at all future court dates. You need to stay in contact with your attorney. They will know whether or not court dates change. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences for failing to appear, Mr. Burke?
Yes, I do.
All right, that's all for tonight, sir. That one was dismissed, or he was released on that today. Can we mark that the amount of jurisdiction at 24 hours? Is that what they want, the jail wants?
Hi, everybody.
Today, so he's no longer being held by the jail on that. On the felony. Yeah, yeah, that's what they told me, is he's no longer being held on that. Okay, and we can verify that as soon as I finish.
George can tell you what it's.
Hi, sir, tell me your full name.
Robert Gerard Elmore Jr.
Hi, Mr. Elmore. You are here tonight on a charge of unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. It is a misdemeanor charge. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Okay.
Hang on. It looks like, so on jail, sorry, on this one, do you guys have another case with Mr. Elmore where he's being held on a $500?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Can we combine the courts so I don't have to go to the separate ones?
No, unfortunately, sir, they're separate jurisdictions, so you're gonna have to go to 2 separate courts.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do on your misdemeanor drug paraphernalia case. I am going to release you on that case on your promise to appear. You're not gonna get released from the jail because you still have that other bond going on.
Okay.
Additional conditions of release are that you not possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. I am going to appoint an attorney for you. Her name is Janet Altschuler. And I'm
Okay.
appointing her because you're still going to be in custody on these other charges. So she will be in
Okay.
contact with you so you can talk about what you need to do. Your next court date in Tucson City Court is going to be October 4th at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
If you get released on your felony case, it's your responsibility to appear at that date and time on your own. If you're still in custody, Ms. Altschuler will be able to help you with that.
Okay.
All right. If you get out and you don't show up, city court could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. When you get released, they should give you a copy of your paperwork. It'll have the conditions, the name of your attorney, as well as the court date and time and the location for Tucson City Court.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're all done for tonight.
Have a good day.
You too.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Defrenchie.
Mr. Defrenchie, you are being seen tonight on charges involving burglary in the third degree ×2 and theft over $25,000. This is the time for your initial appearance on those charges. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you. You do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing tonight. She won't be your attorney, but she is going to represent you for purposes of setting conditions of release. Mr. Defrenchie, I see that you are in custody on another matter. We're not talking about that today. That was already previously done and set. So the charges we're focused on tonight are the burglary and theft charges, and I do need to set conditions of release on those.
So what kind of charges you guys got me in here for? There's like a lot of different stuff you guys are saying I'm in here for. Burglary, theft of means, burglary. What is it? Like murder? It's got me in all kinds of shit. I don't know what, like, I don't even know what I'm in here for right now. Like 25 million different things.
So again, sir, the charges we're dealing with tonight are 2 counts of burglary in the third degree and theft. So those are the charges that you're being initialed on this evening. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. I've also had the chance to review. That may very well be, and you'll have a chance to talk to your attorney about that. I've also reviewed the state's recommendation. They are asking for a $5,000 bond on this particular case. Ms. Nagley, do you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor, we're just asking for the $5,000 bond, given the other matters that he's pending.
Ms. Baumgartner, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Given that he's got the other bonds as mentioned, $1 million on one, 15,000 on another, he hasn't been able to pay those. I don't believe 5,000 is necessary, and we're asking for a $2,500.
I am going to impose a $5,000 cash or secured bond on this matter. He will be released to pretrial services if he posts that on this matter. He's ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment as directed, no alcohol or drugs, no firearms. You cannot have any contact with the victims in this matter, and don't go back to the incident location, which was a fire department. Fire department. Your next date is going to be a preliminary hearing on September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That hearing may or may not occur, but you will be responsible for attending all future court dates. If you're still in custody, they'll make sure that you appear either via video or in person. But if you do post bond and you are to be released, it is your responsibility to appear. And if you fail to do that, they can issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand, Mr. Defrenchie?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, that's all for tonight.
All right, thank you.
Jenna, are you back doing DBCES?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so is it you and then Andrew or just you?
Just me.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
James Vance Ivy.
Is your middle name Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. You are here tonight on charges involving burglary in the third degree and theft. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing this evening. She will not be your attorney, but she is representing you for purposes of these proceedings. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. I've also had an opportunity to review the state's recommendation with regard to your conditions of release. They are asking for a $5,000 bond in this case. And it looks like, Mr. Vance Ivy, that you do have other charges going on and that you are in custody on other cases, a felony. So regardless of what we do here, that's not going to have any effect on whatever else may already be going on. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Nigley, I do see the $5,000 bond. Did you wish to be heard further?
Nothing additional from the written recommendation, Judge.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Your Honor, given that he's already being held on a $20,000 bond, another $20,000, a $10,000, and a $3,000, this is a nonviolent offense, and so we're asking for a $3,000 bond.
Mr. Vance Ivy, I am going to impose a $5,000 cash or secured bond on this matter. If you're able to post that bond on this case, you'd be released to pretrial services. You'd be ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You can't possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, and you can't have any firearms or weapons. Do not have any contact with the victims, and don't go back to the incident location. Your next hearing is September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you will be responsible for appearing at all future court dates. If you're in custody, the jail will make sure that you appear either via video or take you to court for your hearings. But if you bond out and you're out of custody, it is your responsibility to appear. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Do you understand all of those conditions, Mr. Vance Ivy? Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for a hearing? Great, that's all for tonight.
Carlos? Carlos?
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
John Russell Carlos.
Mr. Carlos, you are being seen this evening on a charge out of Marana City Court for driving on a suspended license. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Like you also have a charge of drug paraphernalia and failing to appear on that as well out of Marana City Court. Sir, it's my understanding that you have another felony case that you are in custody for. So we're not talking about that. We're just going to talk about your Marana cases this evening. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So on your Marana cases, sir, I am going to release you on your promise to appear at a court date that I'm going to give you. Again, if you're still in custody on your other felony matters,
No, I'm not.
you'll be held on those.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, so I have an address for you on North Romero Road. Is that still a good address for you, Mr. Carlos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So I will release you on your promise to appear on these matters at Marana City Court. Your next court date is going to be October 2nd at 10 o'clock in the morning at Marana City Court. You do need to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest. And that will be for all of the charges out there. Do not drive without a valid license, and you're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs while this case is going on. Do you understand those conditions, Mr. Carlos?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for tonight. Make sure you show up to court, okay?
Go out there, have a seat with the males. Go to sit down. You're next. Right. You're next.
Hi, tell me your full name.
My name is Bruce Alton Granillo.
Mr. Granillo, you are here on a couple of misdemeanor matters out of Pima County Justice Court. Looks like you're here on a DUI and failing to appear and a shoplifting and failure to appear. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I have an address for you, sir, on North 9th Avenue. Is that still a good address?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. So it does look like there are amounts on these warrants. Your shoplifting is $250 and your DUI is a $500 warrant. It looks like they were issued back in 2022 and 2023. If I release you on these charges tonight, Mr. Granillo, will you promise to go to Justice Court and get these matters resolved?
Yes, ma'am, I will. That is my first priority.
Okay. I am going to release you on your promise to appear on these matters, despite the $750 that they're asking for. But that means that you need to show up at Pima County Justice Court on October 7th at 8:30 in the morning in front of Judge Cornejo so you can get these matters resolved. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. Could I do it like before then, or do I have to do it on that day?
You can contact Justice Court tomorrow morning and see if you can get something sooner, but that's the court date that you're being given today. And if you fail to appear on that date, they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest.
No, ma'am, I won't let you down, Your Honor.
All right. As to the shoplifting case, sir, wherever the shoplifting occurred, don't go back to that incident location or have any contact with the people there. They're victims of that offense.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay, and then don't drive without a valid license. I don't know what the status of your license is, but those are the additional conditions of your release while these cases are pending. All right, sir?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
All right, that's all for tonight.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yeah.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name.
Elise Ramirez.
Ms. Ramirez, you were here on a justice court warrant. The warrant is for possession of drug paraphernalia, and it looks like you failed to appear back in June of this year. You also have a few city court matters that are outstanding at this time that we're going to need to talk about. Those charges are also drug paraphernalia, prescription drug possession, criminal trespass. You do have the right to remain silent as to all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Ms. Ramirez, I'm showing an address for you on West Williams Street. Is that still a good address for you?
Yes.
Your city court matters have been pending. Those are pretty old, going on since 2022. Ms. Ramirez, if I release you tonight on these charges, do you promise to show up at both city court and justice court on the dates that I give you so you can get these matters taken care of?
I do. I really do.
As for the justice court matters, ma'am, I will release you on your promise to appear, and that's for the drug paraphernalia charge. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs while the case is going on. Your next court date in justice court is going to be October 7th at 8:30 in the morning. That will be in front of Judge Cornejo. You do need to appear at justice court at that date and time, or they'll issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
As for your city court matters, I'm also releasing you on your promise to appear. You are not to return to the incident locations. Wherever the criminal trespasses occurred, you cannot go back there. The people there are victims, so don't return. And then same thing, don't possess or consume any alcohol or drugs while the case is going on. Your next court date in city court is going to be October 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That'll be in front of Judge Maldonado. So
When does that work? Consider the same day and like there's a half-hour difference.
There is, right. So the nice thing for you is the buildings are right next to each other. So if you get to court at justice court, I would suggest that you let them know that you also have a matter in Tucson City Court at 9 to see if you can be put at the beginning of the calendar. Don't be late, to get here early and make sure that you're prepared to go right at 8:30. And like I said, let court staff or let someone know that you also have a hearing that same date in Tucson City Court. You might be able to call one or the other of the courts, ma'am, and see if you can get a date, pushed back. But again, the nice thing is the buildings are right next to each other. So if you get your hearing done even by 8:45 here at Justice Court, that should give you time to get to City Court for your 9 o'clock hearing.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll leave that up to you, but those are the court dates that you're being given tonight. And if you fail to appear at either of those court dates, they're going to continue to issue warrants for you. These aren't going to go away. You need to get them taken care of, okay?
I understand.
Okay, that's all for tonight, ma'am. You're excused.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Joshua Carver.
Mr. Carver, is your middle name Dwight?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. You're here tonight on charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. This is the time for your initial appearance where we set conditions of release. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing. We also have a couple of city court matters we need to talk about as well, sir, and we'll do that in a minute. But first, on your felony cases, I've had the chance to review information provided by pretrial services, and also the state's attorney has a recommendation that they've made. Sir, based on the charges, you are eligible to participate or may be eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court. If you are willing to participate in treatment, either inpatient or outpatient treatment, and you successfully complete all the terms of a program that you can learn more about later, then the state will agree not to go forward on these felony drug charges. Is that a program that you're interested in participating in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, sir, is in light of that, I'm going to release you to pretrial services. Does either counsel wish to be heard further on that?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
So you'll be released tonight to pretrial services, and you will need to stay in contact with them. Your next hearing is going to be for that substance abuse treatment court on September 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That will be on the 3rd floor of Pima County Superior Court. On that day, you will be seeing Judge Hampson. You'll be able to meet with your attorney at that hearing, and there will also be treatment providers from our community
Okay.
I am showing general delivery as your address right now. Are those your current circumstances?
As of right now, yes.
Okay. I have reviewed pretrial services information. It does look like the state is also recommending release to pretrial services. That is the court's inclination. Does anyone wish to be heard further, either counsel?
No,
No,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
All right, so Mr. Francisco, I am going to release you on the felony case to the custody of pretrial services. That means you need to stay in contact with them. Participate in any monitoring or treatment they might direct. You can't possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while the case is going on. This is a burglary case. You're not allowed to have any contact with the victim, and don't go back to the incident location. Do you understand all of those conditions of release on your felony case?
Yes.
Your next hearing is going to be what's called a preliminary hearing. That's September 25th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That hearing date may or may not occur, but you are responsible for appearing at all future court dates. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. So it's important that you stay in contact with your attorney and also pretrial in the event that dates change. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
All right, so that's on your felony case. Let's talk about your misdemeanor case next. Also, sir, and they're not going to be open when you get released later tonight, but at the jail, they have something called the Transition Center. And it's a little trailer that sits kind of near the jail property. They help people with housing and mental health issues, substance abuse issues. They have a lot of services and resources they can refer you to. I don't know whether or not you'll be in the area, but know that that's a place that you can come back to if you need help with housing, okay? On your justice court matter, you're here tonight on charges of theft and trespass in the 3rd degree. You do, again, have the right to remain silent on those charges. I am going to release you on your promise to appear on that case. You're not to have any contact with the victims and don't return to the incident location. Your next court date in the justice court matters is October 7th at 8:30 in the morning. That will be at Pima County Justice Court. It'll be at 8:30 in front of Judge Cornejo. You do need to appear at that date and time or they'll issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand all of that, Mr. Francisco? Okay. And I think Ms. Baumgartner wrote down all of your court dates for you. When you get released, you should also get the paperwork from the jail that'll have all your court dates and the locations of where you need to be.
Okay.
All right, that's all for tonight.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Monica Gallardo.
Ms. Gallardo, you are here tonight on, Ms. Gallardo, you'll get a chance to talk to her in a second, but I need to be sure that you're paying attention to what I tell you, okay? All right. You're here tonight for initial appearance on charges related to drug paraphernalia, possessing that, possession of a narcotic drug, possession of a dangerous drug, and also sales of a dangerous drug and narcotic drug. You do have the right to remain silent on all of those charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing tonight. You also have several matters, 3 other matters pending in Pima County Justice Court. Looks like you had a warrant on a couple of those matters involving shoplifting and trespass. So we're going to talk about those in a minute. There are $500 bonds on each of those warrants. On the felony charges, ma'am, I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial. I've also had the opportunity to review the state's recommendation in this case. The state is recommending a $2,500 bond plus pretrial services. I will tell you, given my review of the information, I'm inclined to set a $5,500 cash or secured bond. Ms. Nagley, do you want to be heard further?
Judge, just that this, given the nature of the offense, that there was a 4-year-old child in the backseat, she was in possession of 2 different types of drugs and admitted to selling them. And it sounds like from the interim complaint that she was selling them when she had the child in her possession, or the child was with her. So Judge, for those reasons, we're asking for a bond.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, I understand the court's inclination, but I don't believe that a $5,500 bond is necessary. I do agree with the state's assessment that a $2,500 bond is more appropriate. She's unemployed. She doesn't have any violent priors, and in fact, her last prior was from 2008. She doesn't have an active NVCA flag. She doesn't have employment either, Your Honor. So given those factors, we're asking for a $2,500.
I am going to impose a $5,500 cash or secured bond at this time. If you're able to post that bond, then you'd be released to pretrial services. If you are released to pretrial services, you're ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You cannot possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You can't have any firearms. Your next hearing in the felony case is September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are responsible for appearing at all future court dates. If you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand those conditions and the consequences for failing to appear, Ms. Gallardo?
I didn't fail to appear. I had quashed a warrant. They gave me a date, but I never received the dates.
So and we'll talk about your justice court matters in a second, ma'am, but right now what I'm asking is, do you understand if you post the bond and get released that there are conditions that I've imposed? Staying in contact with pretrial, not possessing drugs or alcohol, and not having firearms. Do you understand that if you get released that you have to follow those conditions?
Yeah.
And the other question I have for you on the felony matter is, do you understand that if you fail to appear at future court dates, a warrant could be issued for your arrest?
Well, I'll be in here, so I'll be there.
I will take that as a yes. So now we need to talk about your other 3 justice court cases. One of them does involve a shoplifting warrant. Because you're being held on the felony matter, ma'am, I am going to impose a $250 cash and secured bond. I am going to have that be concurrent on all of your justice court matters. So all the 3 cases that we're talking about tonight will have that $250 cash and secured bond attached to it. So that'll be one $250 cash or secured bond on all the cases that we're about to talk about. On your justice court matter, on the shoplifting, you're not allowed to return to the incident location or have contact with the victims in that case. I am going to appoint Anna Dennis to represent you on these matters in justice court. You're going to be seen tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that will be much like you're doing right now. It'll be a video review hearing, and that will be for all of the cases. So the same date, and it looks like 2 of them are shoplifting matters. And the last one does. Okay, things just got dark here, so I'm just gonna keep going. Can you still hear me, Ms. Baumgartner?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that was very strange. I don't know what happened to all the lights, so we'll figure that out. But in the meantime, it looks like this other charge does involve putting the minor in peril. So that's what the last case is about. So again, $250 cash or secured bond on all 3 misdemeanor matters, and Ms. Dennis will be appointed to represent you. All of those matters will be dealt with tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. All right, Ms. Gallardo? That's all for tonight.
I'll probably see what the Phoenix.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Stephen Godoy Jr.
Mr. Godoy, you are here this evening for an initial appearance on charges related to burglary in the third degree, criminal damage, and resisting arrest. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing tonight. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. I've also reviewed the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. They are asking for a $5,000 bond. It looks like you are on release to pretrial services in another felony matter, sir, CR 2024-3224. I am taking that into consideration. I am inclined to impose the $5,000 bond. Ms. Nagley, did you want to be heard further?
Nothing additional, Your Honor.
Ms. Baumgartner.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'd be asking that you impose a lower bond in this case, a $1,000 bond. He has housing and employment. He's only a 2 on the FTA scale and a 3 on the NCA scale. These are considered non-violent offenses. So given that, we're asking for a $1,000 bond.
So I am going to impose a bond in the amount of $5,000 at this time. That will be a cash or secured bond. If you're able to post that bond, sir, then you'd be released to pretrial services. You're ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment that they require, any alcohol or illegal drugs. And you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Your next court date in this matter is September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you'll be responsible for showing up at all future court dates. If you get released, you need to make sure that you appear. Staying in contact with your attorney will ensure that you know when your court dates are in the event that they get changed. If you do fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand, Mr. Godoy?
Yes.
That's all for tonight.
You're next.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Edgar Granados.
Mr. Granados, you're here tonight on charges of armed robbery and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing tonight. Sir, I do note that you have a general delivery address currently. Are those still your circumstances?
Yeah. Okay.
I also have a city court matter, a couple city court matters that we need to talk about in just a minute. I have had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services. Also had the chance to review the state's recommendation. Looks like the state is recommending a $15,000 bond and release to pretrial. I have read the circumstances in this particular case. It does look like the weapon was a wine bottle from the store that was being used. Ms. Nagley, do you want to be heard further?
Yes, Judge, just briefly, given the nature of the offense where he entered the store, used a wine bottle in a threatening manner by raising it over his head as to strike the victim indicate that he backed away because of it. After the incident that happened on August 31st, the defendant returned to the store again and was detained by security. So for those reasons, Judge, given that he went back to the same incident location and the victim was present, we're asking that he be held on the $15,000 bond.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to note that Mr. Granados has no priors. He is unemployed and homeless, but he does have ties to the community. He's been here for 30 years. He also has schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, which is he was going to be receiving benefits for. I think that kind of explains why this conduct may have occurred out of nowhere, especially being 32 with having no priors and then returning to the store again after the incident. I think that shows a disconnect between understanding what went wrong and his behavior. So given all those factors, Your Honor, we'd be asking for a $10,000 bond.
So, Mr. Granados, I am going to impose a $5,000 cash or secured bond tonight. If you do post that bond, then you can be released to pretrial services. If you do post the bond and you get released to pretrial services, you're ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You are not allowed, if you get released, to go back to the incident location where this occurred. Don't go back there at all for any reason. Do not have any contact with the victim in this case. Do you understand those conditions of release, Mr. Granados?
Yes.
Your next court date is a preliminary hearing on September 16th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That date may or may not occur, but you'll be responsible for appearing at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they're going to issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well, Mr. Granados?
Yes.
All right. You also, as I indicated, have a city court matter. On your city court matter, I am going to release you on your promise to appear. That is a theft and a shoplifting case. So if you do end up getting released, you can't go back to the incident locations and don't have any contact with the victims there. I am going to appoint you an attorney. I'm going to appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you. And that's because you are obviously in custody on the felony case for now. Your next hearing on the city court matters is going to be October 4th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Hale. If you are out of custody, you're responsible for appearing at that date and time. If you are still in custody, Ms. Altschuler will be able to talk with you about what's going to happen next. If you fail to appear at that Tucson City Court date, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand, sir?
Yeah.
Right. That's all for tonight.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Tell me your full name.
David Paul Levit.
Mr. Levitt, you are here tonight on charges of prohibited possessor and unlawful discharge of a firearm. These are felonies. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing tonight. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. I've also reviewed the state's attorney's recommendation. The state is recommending a $2,500 bond and release to pretrial. Ms. Nagley, do you want to be heard further?
Nothing additional, Your Honor.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Yes, Your Honor. So I'd like to point out that when looking at Mr. Levit's criminal history, it looks like his prior felony was designated a misdemeanor from what I can see. And in my experience, that means the box was checked that his rights were not impacted, which usually includes his right to have a firearm. So I don't actually know that he was a prohibited possessor in this incident. So I'd ask the court not to consider that when making your release conditions. He is a 20-year resident of Tucson. He has support with his girlfriend. He only has the one prior from 2017, which was designated a misdemeanor. He's a 2 on the NCA scale, a 3 on the FTA scale. He's actually a level 1 supervision in pretrial services eyes, and this is actually considered a non-violent offense. So given those factors, Your Honor, we're asking you give him a chance on pretrial services. Clearly, he did well on probation, so much so that it was designated a misdemeanor, and he hasn't picked up anything since then. So we're asking you to give him a chance.
Mr. Levit, I'm showing an address for you on North Balboa. Is that still a good address for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am going to release you, sir, to pretrial services this evening. You're going to be ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. They will want you to stay in contact with their agency, and you are required to do that. You are not allowed to have any firearms or weapons while this case is going on. No guns anywhere near you, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Those are your additional conditions of release. Your next court date is going to be a preliminary hearing. That date may or may not occur, but you're going to be responsible for attending all future court dates. So it's important that you stay in contact with your attorney. That date is September 25th at 1:30 in the afternoon. If you fail to appear at court dates, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all for tonight, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hello.
Hey, sir, tell me your full name.
Cody Bradley Manuel.
Mr. Manuel, you are here tonight on a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court for failing to appear for a dangerous drug possession violation and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent on those charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney, and I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you. You have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing. She's not your attorney, but she will be representing you at the hearing this evening when we talk about your conditions of release. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. It looks like this warrant was issued, sir, back in August of 2022 for offenses that occurred in May of 2021. The bond amount on the warrant is $7,500. I do note that the state is asking for $1,000 bond amount. I do believe that he would be eligible for SMART. I'm not going to check the box for that tonight. And sir, what that means is based on the nature of the charges, this was a while ago and you failed to appear at arraignment. I don't know whether or not you would be eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court. That's what SMART court is. So I can't order that tonight because I don't know if you'll be eligible, but it is a program for people who have charges similar to yours. So I'll let your attorney kind of work that out. I am inclined to release Mr. Manuel to pretrial services if he promises to show up at the court date that I'm going to give him. Ms. Nagley, did you want to be heard further?
Judge, as far as SMART court goes, I don't believe he's eligible for that. Usually that's a pre-indictment situation. I didn't look into it to see if he had, but that's typically how our office does it. And then if they fail to appear for SMART court, then we usually go forward with issuing the case. So I don't think he qualifies for that. We are asking for the $1,000 bond, given that he's been picked up twice on this, once in 2021, and he was released to pretrial services. And then again, he failed later on and was arrested in 2022, and again, released to pretrial services and failed to appear. And that the last contact he had, according to the pretrial services report, was on August 26, 2022. And he was informed at that time that the warrant had issued. So for those reasons, Judge, we're asking for the $1,000 bond.
Ms. Baumgartner, I think Ms. Nagley makes a compelling argument. So I'm now adding the $1,000 bond given the number of times that he has failed to appear.
In Your Honor, we're actually asking that you give him another chance. I understand the court's concerns, And so I sat down with Mr. Manuel before court and talked about how important it is that he contact pretrial services. He talked about a cell phone he can use, and he talked about other options he can use when he needs to call into that number. He advised that he'll take the bus to get to court. We also talked about the fact that these are personal possession drug offenses. And so I went over with him that likely it's going to be a pretty quick and easy case. If he just shows up and takes care of it, it's not going to be too bad. You know, I don't know if he's running out of fear, but it's personal possession. So we talked a little bit about that as well. So we're asking you give him another shot on pretrial services with this renewed discussion about its importance and his understanding of really the concept of what he's looking at. He's only 24 years old, Your Honor, and I think each year he gains more responsibility the older he gets, and third time is often the charm.
Mr. Manuel, it looks like you have an address in Ajo. Is that still, are you still living out there?
Yes.
Okay. If I do release you to pretrial services, your next court date is going to be September 12th at 1:30. You do have to be there. Ms. Baumgartner is, giving some good reasons to give you that third shot, but you're not going to get another one, and you can't continue to ignore this. It is not going to go away. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And if I release you, do you promise that you're going to show up at your arraignment at 1:30 in the afternoon?
Yes, I do.
All right. I'm going to release you again to pretrial services with your promise to appear. You do need to stay in contact with pretrial services. Ms. Baumgartner talked to you about having a cell phone and being able to contact them. You must do that.
Okay, Judge, I got a question.
Okay.
So, I have a court date set for September 10th, I believe. Would I still have to come to the court?
These are separate matters. I don't know what your matter is on September 10th, but it's completely.
It's for discharge.
Still come.
So still come?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the 10th date is, sir. The date that I have for you is September 12th at 1:30 in the afternoon. So I would suggest talking to your attorney from the Legal Defender's Office. So there should be a number for you to contact them. I would do that tomorrow. You'll get released tonight. Call your attorney tomorrow, and at least make sure you're making contact, but you have to appear on that September 12th date.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all for tonight.
Hello.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Sandra Quinn.
And is your middle name Jackie?
Yeah.
Ma'am, you were here tonight on felony charges involving possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of a dangerous drug. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the Legal Defender's Office to represent you. Had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services and also the state's recommendation regarding your conditions of release. Ms. Quinn, based on the nature of your offenses, it looks like you are eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court, or may be eligible to participate in that. That would mean that if you do qualify and you show up at a court date that I'm going to give you, if you complete either inpatient or outpatient treatment options, the state won't go forward with these felony charges. Is that something you're interested in participating in?
Yes.
All right. So with that, I am inclined to release to pretrial services. Does either counsel wish to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So Ms. Quinn, I am going to release you tonight to the custody of pretrial services. You're going to need to stay in contact with that agency, participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You cannot possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs while this case is going on, and you can't have any firearms. Your next hearing is going to be September 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That is the hearing for your substance abuse treatment court to see if you qualify. You need to appear on the 3rd floor of Superior Court downtown, and that will be in front of Judge Hampson. At that time, you'll meet with your attorney from the Legal Defender's Office, and there will be treatment providers there that you'll be able to meet with so you can set up an assessment and get started in the program if you qualify. If for any reason you don't qualify, I'm going to give you another court date. It will be the preliminary hearing. Ms. Baumgartner, are we willing to waive time?
Yes, Your Honor.
So if you don't qualify for that program, then your next court date will be October 21st at 1:30 in the afternoon. And that's going to be what's called a preliminary hearing. It's a probable cause finding as to the charges you were arrested for. That court date may or may not occur. So it's important that you stay in contact with your attorney because you are responsible for appearing at all future court dates. And if you don't, they'll issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand, Ms. Quinn?
Good.
All right, very important you show up next week on the 12th at 9 a.m. That's all for tonight.
No. Hello.
Hey, sir, tell me your full name.
Alexander Aguilar Serrano.
Mr. Serrano, you were here tonight on multiple matters. The first is a felony matter involving unlawful possession of a narcotic drug, dangerous drug, and drug paraphernalia. It does look like in reviewing the interim complaint that it's only a dangerous drug. It doesn't look like we have any narcotics. I will note that. Obviously, there is sufficient probable cause with respect to the other 2 charges. Sir, you do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you on this case. And you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing tonight. You're also here on some justice court matters. You have warrants for shoplifting and drug paraphernalia and failure to appear and criminal trespass. You also have a Mena case for failing to appear on a shoplifting charge going back to 2022. And then you also have Tucson City Court matters that are pending at this time. I have had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services, Mr. Serrano, and they tell me that you could be eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court. If you wanted to participate in that program, you'd have to agree to get inpatient or outpatient treatment or services for substance abuse. And if you successfully complete the terms of the program, the state would not go forward with these felony drug charges against you. Is that something that you're interested in participating in?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. If I release you to pretrial services, you're going to have to stay in contact with that agency. More importantly, Mr. Serrano, you're going to have to take care of all the matters in all of the courts. Are you going to do that?
Yes. I could do that.
So it looks like I have an address for you on North Country Club. Is that still a good address?
Yes.
All right, counsel, I am inclined to release him to pretrial services. So either wish to be heard further.
No,
No, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Serrano, you will be released tonight to pretrial services. You're going to be ordered to stay in contact with that agency. Participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You can't possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Your next hearing to see if you are eligible to participate in the substance abuse treatment court is next week, September 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That will be at Pima County Superior Court on the 3rd floor, and you'll see Judge Hampson. At that date, you'll meet with your attorney. He'll review with you, if you are eligible, the terms of the substance abuse treatment court program. You'll also have an opportunity to meet with treatment providers from our community to get assessment set up and begin services. Ms. Baumgartner, are we willing to waive time for the preliminary hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, sir, because we're going to see if you're eligible to participate in that program, we're going to extend out the next court date. So if you show up on the 12th and find out you're not eligible, then your next court date is going to be October 21st at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That hearing may or may not occur, but if you fail to appear for any hearings that I give you today, they're going to issue more warrants for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's talk about your Mena case next. That is drug paraphernalia and shoplifting. I'm going to order that you be released on your promise to appear on that case. Your next court date in Mena City Court is October 2nd at 10 o'clock in the morning. You're not to have any contact with the victims and not to return to the incident location. Wherever that shoplifting occurred, that's where the victims are. Don't go back there. Do you understand?
I understand.
And I know Ms. Baumgartner is writing down the dates for you. When you get released later tonight, you're going to get 3 separate sets of paperwork that are going to have all your court dates on them. Actually, 4. Let's talk about your justice court matter. It's also a shoplifting and a warrant that was issued. I'm releasing you on that. Your next court date is October 7th at 8:30 in the morning. You're not to go back to that incident location where the shoplifting occurred or have any contact with the victims there. And then finally, sir, you have city court matter. Those involve criminal trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia and prescription drugs. I'm releasing you on those matters as well. Your next court date is October 3rd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in front of Judge Cranshaw. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. Same thing. Don't go back to the incident locations, which is where the victims are. Do you understand all of your conditions of release, Mr. Sano?
Yep.
So that's a lot for you to get taken care of. These matters are not going to go away, sir. What I can tell you is if you qualify for the substance abuse treatment court, they're going to be able to provide you with services. If you stay in contact with them, they'll be able to help you get all of these matters resolved. They're not going to go away. You need to deal with them. All right?
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your help this evening. I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You too, Judge.
Thank you.
Bye.